experienced team, but yeah, they probably were looking for this win, and maybe this early game is a bit troubling.
All right, thank you very much, Snitch, as we are heading back into the game, and immediately APOC Void Prism, right as we head in for BlossoM, picking up their level 10 straight away, getting out that Lornado as well, Ardent Defender, and Li Ming, Wave of Force, very standard there.
And you know, I mean, we talked about, of course, the APOC Void Prison, and we're going to come back to that in just a bit. It is, of course, one of those combos that is especially great against Phoenix here in the earlier stages, but also against Thrall and against Malthael. But I want to point out the Lornado again, because we have seen so much pressure already against Phoenix in particular, and he had a really tough time dealing with Diablo's engages. So now you add Lornado on top of that, and Mary Day has been playing fantastic throughout the tournament, yesterday and already in the first 6 minutes of this game. If he can interrupt Warp whenever Phoenix is trying to use that to move away, Good is going to be in trouble, and I'm just looking for Mary Day and him trying to execute those plays.
But now let's look on the other side for Tempest. It's going to be a Sundering coming in from Thrall, while they have a Purification Salvo Phoenix. That is curious. That limits their slows down to basically Phoenix himself and to Muradin with that Thunderclap.
I think one of the reasons why we're seeing this is that they also hope to interrupt a lot of the combos that could come out of BlossoM. If you get that Sundering set off so that you can maybe interrupt the timing on the Void Prison into Apocalypse, that can really help you. Or even if it goes through, as long as you can interrupt the follow-up damage that comes afterwards, it's something where you might make the difference of you losing a team fight or losing a player in the team fight early on, maybe carrying it over the time. It also sets up to an extent a potential 7-sided isolation kill together with Last Rites on Malthael. So I feel it's more about trying to create these opportunities and denying them to BlossoM than follow up on the salvo damage that you pointed out.
That last roll, Sundering and Lornado already coming out. Honkono goes down. That is going to be the first kill of the fight to Tempest, using their heroics very effectively. Last Rites was not used as Malthael was not in range, so no stack acquired there.
But this is one of the plays that for Tempest can really make the difference here. Honkono likes to be aggressive, and if Honkono moves in and it goes a bit too deep, or you can catch him in a rotation, that kill is worth a lot. And that's where especially Karazim comes into play with the 7-sided that we just saw. And it immediately results in them taking an objective. They get the Dragonite out of this, and now, if you just look at experience, they have already taken a lead, and they didn't even get Dragonite value yet.
Yeah, they literally just picked up that kill, and you mentioned just how much value it is with the Dragonite on their possession. It's already down to half health, thanks to actually a very nice bait there by Diablo, sorry, to pull it in, as everyone begins moving down to the bot lane for the defense. Both the towers are still alive.
Yeah, Urel is still in the mid lane here, but right now we are just seeing Tempest play around the Dragon's Breath, trying to get as much of that in as they possibly can. Now, in an ideal world, as we said before, you are pushing with the Dragonite and your own minion wave, so the minion wave soaks the tower shots. That's something that Tempest wasn't really able to do too much because of the wave clear that we're seeing from BlossoM. They destroyed those waves quickly, and that forced the Dragonite into tower range. And as you pointed out a bit earlier, it dropped in HP so fast. So it's a great defense from BlossoM's perspective, but Tempest still has taken a slight lead now.
With that Dragonite down to 5 seconds, that's all it's going to be able to do. Just backs up to its own fort to protect that. But that's still going to be the first fort of the game. Bot fort isn't that healthy at the moment, so BlossoM might be able to get that as some counter experience. But overall, Tempest with a fantastic comeback, even still behind in kills.
And level 13 talents are now also, of course, super important here. I mean, you look at the Inevitable End on the side of Malthael, and that's something you can really just use whenever you have these engages coming through Diablo and he's trying to get those stun chains, when you see Deckard Cain trying to follow it up. And that was a huge problem in the earlier stages, but as the game continues, there are going to be more tools for Tempest to really deal with it. You pointed out the Cleansing Touch on level 16 early on. Once that's online, it's going to be really difficult for BlossoM to get the value out of these CC comps that they got in the early game.
And once again, Diablo is going to be very reliant on that crowd control. He's gone for the normal Fire Stomp build, no sneaky Malevolence snuck in there, but he's still got that devastating charge. It's still so incredibly effective at bursting heroes down if he can get that stacked up. So we'll see if he's able to do that, and if the Cleansing Touch might be able to shut that down. For now, Quicksilver coming in for that Karazim as a nice little escape tool for after the cleanse, or even to get them out of range of Diablo in the first one.
Yeah, and from a macro perspective, the teams are now both focusing heavily again on camps, and we see the night camp taken by both sides. Now there is of course the difference that Tempest still has a fort on the top lane where BlossoM has lost theirs already early in the game. And that's especially creating pressure at another objective. Team fight down here at the bottom there theoretically though. Here comes once again the Lornado trying to isolate them, but Wiz is low and needs to be very careful here. Onkono also anchoring that, but here comes the Sundering as they're going straight for the isolation. The 7-sided comes out and the last right finishing the kill, getting the first stack here from Malphite.
Fantastic Sundering by Thrall. The exact combo you called out with that 7-sided and last rights. An easy pickup by Tempest. And Yarel also burning that Ardent Defender. That is a fantastic trade-up for Tempest.
And just to give you a bit of a perspective of what we've seen here, obviously with Diablo still dead, he wasn't at 100 souls yet. But Diablo was at that point sitting at 93 souls.
So close.
And he got blown up from 100 HP, 100% HP to 0 within seconds. And there was simply this combo. So even on max health, that combo is a massive threat.
Balit and BlossoM not able to defend and prevent that Dragon Knight from happening. They delay at least a little bit, and as such, Diablo has returned, so they can be able to defend this as 5. But they're going to be defending against a Dragon Knight and level 16 coming in for Tempest.
And that level 16 talent is really a huge boost now through the cleansing touch that we highlighted several times here. Now we also have Murden not taking his level 16 yet. We obviously have the level 4 and level 13 synergy to give him a bit more survivability. But on 16 there's so much they can do right now. The extra jump range on the Dwarf launch where you can just try and get the better engagement set up. And that's exactly what we're getting here. So not any kind of defensive moves with Stoneform, but instead just looking for that engage and looking for these potential quick jumps with a stun and the follow-up that could be through the Sundering Thrall, plus then also, of course, on top of it, the 7-sided, if there's an opportunity.
He's now much safer doing this with that cleansing touch. We've been talking about all game, now online, but he has to be careful with the use of his charges because Diablo has domination, so he's going to be able to get some fantastic consistency siege chains.
Also, level 16 is ready for Zeratul, and this is really the moment where Zeratul can contribute a lot in this. But BlossoM is also relying to an extent on that Void Prison into APOC combo. That's what they tried to execute here. That's why they went away from Lightning Breath. And so far we haven't really seen that come through. So this is the one thing that I want to see in the next team fights. Do we have that 5 versus 5 where BlossoM can execute the combo? Or will Tempest with Cleansing Touch and Sundering be able to interrupt it?
We've been seeing where BlossoM have been able to choose the fights pre-heroics, they've been able to pick up kills. But ever since then, Tempest has always been able to find Diablo and they've been able to pick him off. It's great target calling and Honkono has been struggling for it.
Yeah, the early game has gone in BlossoM's favor, but Tempest has done a really nice job after level 10 abilities. And BlossoM just couldn't keep up that aggression. So now the question is, can they find those team fights? Can they find the combo? Are they in a position where they can put the pressure onto Good again and take Phoenix out? That would be a great start for them into this. But already from a positioning perspective, Good is trying to keep as safe as possible behind Dami on Malthael, behind Lockdown on Thrall, and of course Sign, who's still running Murden here in the bush.
Speaking of Lockdown on Thrall, he's decided that with that Sundering, he's very happy to, nice typical end there, he's very happy to get stuck in. He's gone for that Tempest Fury over the usual Thunderstorm. But that was a Tornado being pulled out. It's a pretty long cooldown, so that engage not working well for BlossoM.
Yeah, and the entire time Good was just on mount. He was just in a position where he didn't even try to fire. He was just saying, I'm playing this safe. You can spend resources trying to catch me here, but I am going to play this as safe as possible, fire away, and we're going to fall back and play this safe.
I don't know why I called Lornado a long cooldown. It's already out, basically, so completely derped that one. So we see them moving in. Might try and catch someone out with that Lornado once again, if they can do so, of course. VP could be a fantastic isolation tool for BlossoM, as they do take down that fort. There's still only 1 fort down to 3, much in favor of Tempest. The Lornado does not find anyone hiding in that bush.
Yeah, right now he's just throwing it out. As he said, it's a low cooldown, so Meriday is trying to use it to get some plays. They were already on the move back, and so they know that the next possible fight will be another half minute down the road. So throwing it out there doesn't really hurt you since you're moving back anyways. But if you catch someone that is hiding in that bush, that might lead to a kill. So it was a good use.
You're completely right. And as such, Ancient Blessings used to clean up this camp as quick as possible. This is going to be a camp for camp situation. Difference is Tempest still have their fort up in the top lane, so there's more immediate value to be gained there for BlossoM, seeing as they staggered theirs. If they kill off Tempest's Bruiser camp, then they can gain significantly more value, but they have to do that while preventing a Dragon Knight going over. So we do see everyone from BlossoM rotating top. This is going to be their lane of defense. They're on even talents, one level down still, but this is their steadfast bastion right now, especially with that spell shield from the Merc cap.
I mean, BlossoM is on a bit of a timer here. I don't think that Tempest really has to force the issues. If they are level ahead and they will hit level 20 first, but that's something that BlossoM is now trying to change by taking the top lane and
Smart.
playing aggressive here, trying to get some structures. Inevitable end already used by Dami here, as we saw the lockdown attempt through Deckard Kane. But lockdown himself is actually at the side, and he could try and flank here with a good Sundering. He's already looking for it, and here we go.
They're moving forward, looking for the right angle. Both these teams posturing as best they can. All the minions are already dead, so fighting under this fort is bad. That's a good VP, and APOC finally lands!
That was absolutely beautiful. The triple kill as they move in. It's a quad kill. They take everyone down here with the exception of Sign. A beautiful setup, fighting underneath the fort, and then the perfect setup through Zeratul. That combo was fantastic. Gonda was so low, and then he finds the perfect VP. The combo is good. The APOC comes through, insta-kills Thrall, and then the damage through Li Ming is immediately there to take down Phoenix, take down Malthael, and even Karazim can't escape. That was an excellent teamfight execution.
That was gorgeous. They were under fort, no minions, backs against the wall. Diablo's engage failed, but Gonda comes up huge with that play, and now we see them moving onto the fort. They're going to try and probably grab the first keep of the game, and bot lane is going to be the angle of attack.
I'm still stunned. That was such a beautiful play there, especially from Zeratul. Setting that up and setting Diablo and Li Ming up for this was fantastic. Now they are, of course, reaping what they saw. They move through the bot lane. They have Siege Giants behind them. It's definitely going to be a key. This hurts. This hurts for Tempest. They don't even have 20 yet. It's going to come in soon, but at this point, BlossoM just has full control.
Tornado does not find the target, but like you said, they have control. That first peep. 45 seconds left on the Dragon Knight as they rotate to mid lane. Are they going to look for another keep?
Yeah.
They can at least get the front wall here.
It's one of those weird scenarios where you're already thinking about core, but you're not quite sure, okay, can we really pull it off? BlossoM doesn't feel confident enough to make that move with everyone on the side of Tempest spawning again. But yeah, now there we go, trying to try a little bit more damage onto the keep itself. It's interesting to me that Murden hasn't taken his 20 yet. I would definitely have expected him to go into Rewind here immediately, but that's not the case. And he does not take it.
Hardened Shield coming in, and Karazim with the usual talent for this tournament, the Transgression. He wants those burst kills. It's going to be even harder now. Diablo with Hellgate, which can be used as not just an engage tool, but an escape tool, will be huge. And Deckard, with those perfect gems, is going to have so much more slows and healing reduction.
It's really interesting to me that Sign feels not confident enough to have the survivability here with Rewind, which would allow him for the second healing static to be activated here. So even with Avatar, and oh my god, not even with the 20 is he able to survive there. He gets caught out, put into a stun lock, and then blown to pieces by Li Ming. Well,
they're moving into bot. They're going to at least clean out the lane here. The Dragon Knight's ages away. They decide not to go for core. Instead, this Bruiser cap, extra pressure. The more they can keep Tempest down in this bot lane, the better chance they have of the next Dragon Knight, which can be their winning end game condition.
I'm not quite sure if I would have liked them maybe to... Okay, so I actually don't like what BlossoM just did there. Are they going to go for core with this one, now just getting the camp? Okay, so this I like a little bit more. If they would have just moved back here, I would have criticized that heavily, because at least you try to invade your opponent's night camp, if not take down the keep. But the thought process was, get the spell aura, and I can get behind that. They feel that they have enough time to use the spell aura to make a play, but with now Murden being back,
They took
This
a while.
is a little bit weird. Like, this is a bit odd to me.
Here's where we start to see the pedigree of Tempest compared to BlossoM come in. BlossoM, they do have two incredibly experienced players, and all of the players at this point are superb, but that lack of immediate kill pressure, deciding to play a little bit of hesitation, moving into bot, then deciding no, night camp, then deciding yeah, core, maybe, a little bit of indecision.
This late in the game, if you get a kill and your opponent is on a 60-second cooldown death timer, you try to invite, like, you could have either made a play for keep, second keep in the mid lane, for example. You could have tried to eliminate the fort at the top, at least take the night camp away of your opponent and then move into the fort and eliminate that too. But they basically blew up Muradin and they got zero out of it. Like, absolutely nothing. They got a camp at the bot lane that got immediately destroyed by Tempest as Muradin respawns. And in the meantime, Tempest themselves made a great choice by moving into their own night camp and creating some top lane pressure. So BlossoM just wasted that opportunity that they created for themselves.
Tempest hopping around in the bush. They found a Wiz who doesn't get a great jump. It's going to be a disengaging Lornado. One-person VP as Gondar is eating a huge amount of damage. Last Rites wipes him.
Yeah, down he goes. Zeratul is dead. And now
Hellgate.
Hellgate and the kill against Karazim. Perfect player by Honkono. That just saved them the T-fight. The Airpok comes out, doesn't hit, but at least zones them out a little bit. Wiz is low though, and so is Meriday. They need to be careful. And that's the first kill. Malthael goes in, gets the second stack. They drop Diablo 2. This is bad for BlossoM.
Good at full health, cleaned up that fight. The nice scroll of sealing to prevent the chase from Meriday, but that is a 2-for-1 trade coming in here. Actually a 3-for-1 as Diablo lost all of his souls there. Needs to be careful that he doesn't get sniped immediately. Phoenix is channeling top. It is a 3 versus 4 right now as the Dragon Knight is taken.
Yeah, Dummy takes it, but Thrall goes down. That's actually an important kill because now it's much easier for them to defend. But that was a really hectic setup there. You could see that Zeratul was forced into that panic void prison as a defensive tool, and it was only hitting one. You pointed that out, and Honkono looked at it as like, guys, I'm not even gonna APOC that. That's like no point in it. Instead, he jumps onto Karazim and gets the kill against him as Zeratul falls. So it was a good trade.
With Thrall dead, Dabby doesn't really have anything to do right now. He can't move across the map because the Dragon Knight will be cleared out. His team's already dealing with the minion wave. So right now, this Dragon Knight is more turning into a denial Dragon Knight plus style points.
Style points, yeah, they get those. But we can't emphasize enough how important the kill against Thrall was. That was actually crucial. If you don't get that kill, you talk about a Dragon Knight in a 5 versus 5 setup, so you will at the least lose it. But with now a 5 versus 4, BlossoM is sitting there and says, boys, you can come at us with your DK, but we might kill one of your heroes. And if that happens, they can again take the map control and maybe go for the second keep or go for core. So that Thrall kill really made the difference there.
It was huge right now, and with that Tempest, they can't even get the trade out for their keep of their own. BlossoM are so happy just to sit back in their own base at this point.
Well, to an extent, because there's one important thing for BlossoM. When Thrall was dead, they used it to move out on the map since they have to get the souls of Diablo back. So they eliminated waves, and they are back at 44 stacks for him now. Talking about the stacking process, I also want to quickly highlight that Sign on Muradin has not completed his quest yet.
Wow.
He's sitting at 22 stacks on both of his quests, on the base quest and the Perfect Storm.
This has been a very passive game, so that does make a fair amount of sense. BlossoM's been able to play a little bit further back outside of the few very sparse team fights.
And that heavily reduces also the aggression he can bring within the team fight, because the cooldown reduction you get through auto attacks on the Stormbolt is incredibly powerful when you're trying to establish these massive CCs that continuously come out, especially with Pierce, of course, being active. So he needs 3 more, and then we're going to see Sign maybe with a bit more playmaker potential.
23 to 22, 24 minutes in. Both of these teams decide to play passive once again, cleaning out the lanes. With mercenary camps being taken by Tempest, though BlossoM, despite having down that keep, they're comfortable to play defensive until the next Dragon Knight.
Yeah, the next Dragon Knight is very likely going to be the last Dragon Knight of the game. It would be a bit of a surprise if the next one doesn't end it. There is, of course, a scenario in which the Dragon Knight is taken, but teams lose heroes again, and then you have to wait it out once more. But with the Dragon Knight scaling heavily into the late game, once we have the next Dragon Knight in play, we should see him chunk down not only the keeps, but also the core extremely quickly. So it's very likely that this is the final fight, which means that everyone is now trying to do angle. Where's our position? Where's Zeratul? This is something that Tempest has to worry about. Where's Zeratul? Where's that Void Prism? Make sure that you don't clump too much, because if he finds it and the APOC follow-up is good, that fight could be over within a second.
And the air ally is keeping full vision onto the entirety of that mid lane. So they know if Zeratul moves through here, or if even the rest of the team, they immediately spot everyone coming through this area, as Honkono takes that out very quickly. But now, let's have a look at who has control over that center point. If either team was able to double channel, who would have the better time taking the Dragon Knight, and it's got to be BlossoM. That Void Prism, zoning APOC, Wave of Force, even and Lornado gives them so much area control that if they get the double capture, Tempest have a serious problem. So Tempest have to keep up their rotations or have to pick a lane and defend it. Bot lane would be their preference, as this is where catapults are.
Exactly, this is what BlossoM is currently pushing out heavily. There's a camp that pushes through the top lane, so this should be cleared up by the towers. BlossoM out of, well, short of losing a keep, we don't have to make that rotation, but they're just looking for the play. Look at Gonda, he's just sitting there, he's just waiting. He's saying like, I can make that play here. If I find an opportunity, I jump in, I get the VP, and we follow up.
And remember, BlossoM 0-3 in league play on this map. Let's see if they can actually close this one out. Currently, they do have an XP lead and are about to hit level 24.
Zeratul is just so crucial right now. Gonda is just sitting there, fully hidden, fully invisible. In Tempest, they are looking for him. They're saying, guys, once he shows, we need to be careful here. They're spreading out the entire time. It's all about the waves here, and we are heading into minute 27 right now. That Dragon Knight is going to scale more and more.
This will end the game.
Yes, the Dragon Knight should definitely end it at this point.
Both these teams so passive. It's a game of patience right now. Whichever team engages has the potential for making the mistake that could lose them the game, or making the play that wins it them. They are playing passive, they're playing safe, as we see a wraparound from Tempest. The air ally is in a good position, and Stormbolt does not land on Wiz, though, as they move forward. Quick disengage coming out here. They're trying to escape.
There was actually a chance for the VP already, but right now this is still the opportunity. Gonda is looking for it. He looks for the Void Prison, but they're not pulling the trigger just yet. But just a few seconds ago, there was a big clump up by Tempest, and if Gonda would have been in range, he would have made the move.
That's a trade out there. Lornado was used. And that was very, very close there. It's a very short cooldown though, so it's going to be up in time for the next fight as we very quickly see that immediate Shrine trade. But this puts Tempest in the best position. They now have control over the catapult lane, so they can defend this better.
This is so intense now. And again, this is Tempest's map. This is the map where they said, hey, BlossoM is weak here. We can win, well, we can start the series with a win maybe, get the first map. If BlossoM takes the victory here, that would be a fantastic start for them into the best of 5. Not only do you take the lead, but you defeat your opponent on a map where you are traditionally weaker. So they are now in a situation, it comes all down to this one VP, potentially the combo, or if Tempest finds an engage onto someone, maybe through Muradin.
Tempest are 6-1 on this map, so like you said, losing here would be absolutely crazy as they're moving in. This could be it. Sign gets rooted here. He is the target. Immediate turnaround onto Hyde, but they just can't get them. Both these teams too sustaining.
And Dami lost hit points so quickly. I mean, the move was against Diablo, as we see Sign jumping in with the Stormbolt, but Malthael was under pressure. Now, of course, he can still buy back with his level 20, so if he falls, that's the one hero that you can lose in this setup. But now we have all of a sudden 2 shrines taken. And this is really where Tempest is now under pressure. Now we are going to see the fight transition into the mid lane. And it's again, do we find that VP? Gonda is looking for it. Wiz is at the side. And no one can transition top from Tempest.
This is happening. There is a keep going down. It's about to be a keep for a keep. So BlossoM have committed to this very, very effectively. Malthael is rotated up. It's a 4 versus 5. BlossoM would love to take the fight right now, but Dami will prevent the Dragon Knight going over, only barely. But in that time, they almost guarantee themselves a keep, but the Mercenaries finally go down to the minion wave.
Tempest played that really well with the Mercenaries. They don't get the keep, but they're still Zeratul, good slow coming out of Meriday, and back to the top is seeing this is actually nice control here. Modern Life is there, and if he gets that, and he gets it, the Dragon Knight is in. The Dragon Knight is in perfect zoning on the side of BlossoM, especially Diablo. Honkono is in trouble. and Deckard Kane goes down,
VP.
so goes Diablo. The VP is there, but let's see what they can do with the Dragon Knight.
They've got to just move in. They're down a hero, but this Dragon Knight is so tough right now. They've got Wiz, they've got that disruption coming in here. Diablo has returned. Deckard is not here. Currently it's a 3 versus 5. The DK is fighting the heroes right now. This is such a risky move. They have to back up.
That's unbelievable. I thought they would at least go for the key, but he was trying to sneak past the keep onto the core and lost them too many HP. Here comes the cleansing touch again, keeping them safe. Good punt. And we have immediately the ult on Malthael being used, but Wiz is still alive. They go for Dami.
Wiz dropping that Ardent Defender, forced to back up. The Dragon Knight can't end the game.
30 minutes into this game, 30-minute Dragon Knight, and they don't even get a keep.
This is game number 1, Caldor, as the port is able to save Muradin. He backs up. Level 24, soon to be 25 to 25. This game continues.
I mean, seriously, you gotta be kidding me, right? You're not even getting the keep out of it. If he just hits that keep once, it goes down. You could have waited for Diablo and tried to make the play. Diablo had 100 souls. When he died, you have time.
Yeah.
I honestly don't understand what's the rush here. The late game decision-making of BlossoM, I mean, to be quite frank, it's just trash.
Diablo here on the right side, though, is beginning to get those souls back. He's re-farming the minion waves, which are finally not even going to be pushed out that much. It's going to struggle to get these. They raid into the camp. Tornado will guarantee this, stolen by BlossoM.
Good steal, but I really think BlossoM pressures themselves too much. We have the situation earlier where Muradin is blown up and they get no value out of it. Now they get a Dragon Knight with such good play,
Muradin.
such good zone control, but it doesn't work. Here's the team fight, and we're going in deep for this one, and this is an opportunity. The Void Prison is there.
Perfect.
They follow it up. Apoc is there. The combo
Nice.
hits. They go for Malth, and he goes down.
Good, it's dropped low as well. Indomitable Spirit not available. He is down. A quick kill on Karazim. That's a double kill, looking for the triple on lockdown. Malthael has returned as they get the counter kill.
Fleming is down, and all of a sudden Tempest is the one who's trying to
Last
chase
right.
here. Last rights! And Honkono survives,
So
but
low.
barely. They go again back onto Malthael, but this is just
Gone
absolutely insane.
Darby dropping low. He's taken out thanks to the anti-healing, the knockback. Bot lane is being
What a
pushed,
fight.
but BlossoM
What a
are
fight.
so low. They have to back up, but Malthael 70 seconds away thanks to that. Nothing can stop death.
Now, Australia
Deal with
just
this.
the other day made the shortest game in
Fix
HGC
it.
history happen, but now we are probably seeing the longest here. 61% on the core as those catapults have
man.
shelled away. Sign is
Side.
jumping in. Ural is in the middle. Ural is in the middle.
Lane.
It's channeling, and then it has to be. That has to be game.
It's got to be. Karazim will be up. 7-sided could burn down this Dragon Knight if they play this perfectly. But Tornado's on the board. Sundering. They're trying to finish off Merry Day before this core call.
That can't matter anymore.
Dragon
the
Knight's
Dragon
running
Knight,
in.
he can one-shot the core at this point pretty
Lockdown
much.
down.
Lockdown goes down. Sign is still trying to make a play here. Here comes the punt. Look at that
Seven-sided.
monster. Oh my god.
7-sided win transgression. The core is deleted. And it is BlossoM with game number 1 in a 30-something minute game. That was crazy, Caldor.
That was absolutely crazy. 33 minutes. This might have been the longest, if not one of the longest games that we have seen in HGC history. But oh boy, does BlossoM have to clean up their late game shot calling.
Snitch, give us a break from talking for a second. What just happened?
I mean, honestly, I was almost quite disappointed with the way BlossoM approached this game. I think in the Tempest composition and Tempest talent choices, you know, between the offensive Cadenza Phoenix, the last rights, they were very scared to teamfight. We did not see that Earthquake from Thrall. I don't think Tempest ever wanted to teamfight in this game, and I think it was up to BlossoM to find these situations where they could drop the Void Prison, drop the APOC, and pull the trigger. And I think they were very, very slow, aside from this top fort dive, which kind of blew open the game for a little bit. Yeah. They were very, very poor at finding these engages. I think Gondar specifically was kind of struggling to find these like windows where he could get a good Void Prison for these teamfights.
There was actually one in the mid lane where I expected him to make the move. They were hiding at the bottom of the map for a long time, and then at some point, the entire time, Tempest plays it well and just splits. But when they move into the mid lane, there's this one moment where they cluster up as 4, and he's in range. He can make the jump in and get the Void Prison, and he just sits there. And I feel like he felt afraid to make that in case that he misses it. He felt not really confident.
Yeah, I have to question whether Gondar's feeling confident on this stage. You know, obviously he's not player, known for his international attendance. You know, he's pretty new to this year of HGC. Like, he hasn't been in the scene for too long, and this is kind of one of his only, you know, tournament appearances.
Yeah.
So you have to wonder if maybe the nerves are getting to him. Because I did like some of his early players we mentioned in the early game.
Yeah.
Very good wave setups, very good rotations, good ganks. Finding a lot of the early game Zeratul play, but when it came towards these team fights, he did seem very nervous. There was one specific time in the mid lane as well where he got caught and just died. He was very poor in his combos. His movement was very bad. He ended up getting picked off by the last rights. I think if Gondo was playing more solid this game, it'd be a much cleaner win for BlossoM.
But with that with that potentially too safe play, we've got to talk about the other side. If that play was too safe, what was stopping Tempest from turning that around?
I mean, from Tempest's perspective, it's just the team fights were... It was really weird because the team fights were so well coordinated by BlossoM that, as you said, Tempest doesn't really want to fight. But the problem is their rotations around that have already also not really worked out for them. It felt towards the end they were really in a chokehold where they can't move out and claim the objective without engaging into that fight that they don't want. What do you think were their chances in the late game? Because they had great isolation kills against Diablo through a 7-sided, but towards the late game it really felt that they don't have opportunities anymore.
Yeah, I think the way this game flowed, it was very much, you know, BlossoM kind of in control of the early game, whereas this was the window that, like, Tempest had to get out there, get this early lead, and set up these situations where they could trap brushes, find engages with the Muradin, and get these picks with last rights on the Diablo with the 7-sided, with the Phoenix damage, with the Sundering even. Like, the Sundering to split off the Diablo, that was kind of my mindset as to why they go for this Sundering pick instead of the Earthquake, which we would normally see with the Phoenix.
And it worked several times.
Yeah, no, for sure. They definitely found these situations. You know, Hong Kong, I think 2 deaths in the early mid-game, quite significant. It looked like Tempest were going to start to snowball a lead, but as the map opens up more and more, and especially once Tempest start losing structures, it's so hard for them to get that foothold again. With the Void Prison threat all the time, they could just, they get wiped if he gets a good one, you know, it's very, very dangerous.
The one thing that really shocked me a little bit was really once they blow up Muradin and they don't get anything out of it. It's like, okay, if you don't want to make the play for core, if you don't feel confident enough, at least take that keep. It's right there, or steal the Night Camp away. And then we have them taking the Dragon Knight, I think it was 25 minutes into the game. And they, for some reason, feel super rushed to go straight in. They don't wait for Diablo, and they get nothing out of it, not even a keep. I feel if you go up against a different team, they're going to punish you for that indecisiveness.
Yeah, I think it was very well played, actually, to us to get this Dragon Knight. We saw Hong Kong get the intro, we saw him blink over the wall, but it was really unfortunate they lost 2 heroes for that. Like, the Deckard Kane died as well. I think that was very significant. If it had only been the Diablo Souls, yeah, they could have looked for that core. But I agree, I think they were very slow to adapt to, like, not having the full team there. We can't really go for the core, but they realized too late. Maybe just the length of the game was getting to them. They're getting a bit nervous, you know. But, you know, I do think this was BlossoM's game to win. I really like the way they approached it early. I'd just like to see them tighten up some of that late game play, have Gondar feel a little bit more confident to find these engages, and they could definitely have made a cleaner sweep.
I mean, the funny part is, like, we criticize them a lot here. They are the team that won. Yeah. So it's just I feel they played really well, especially around team fights. But I'm a bit, like, I really enjoyed the way they played the game. It just feels they made some mistakes that from a Korean team on that level I think are uncharacteristic, and if they make them against another opponent or maybe in game 2, game 3, they're going to get punished for it. That's probably the best way to describe it. But especially their team fighting and their coordination around that was really good once they pulled that trigger, which oftentimes it felt they did a bit late.
And to be fair, it is very rare that you go to a game that late, so learning and practicing that kind of killer instinct of when to end the game in the late game is at least a little bit more difficult. But it is potentially something they're going to have to do again, as Cursed, it can be a very quick map, but it also can go very late, being a much larger macro-focused map as well.
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing Tempest take the first pick here. I think they're feeling confident in the draft. I think their draft this game was nice, but as I said, they were kind of slow to like identify the timing windows of their win conditions. Yeah. And that kind of led to BlossoM having a lot of control over the game. But I don't think Tempest will feel bad about the way this first game went necessarily. I think it kind of got out of their hands at a certain point, but they were still finding these clutch moments where they could pick off BlossoM, where they could find 1 or 2 kills in these team fights where they probably shouldn't have, especially, you know, looking when they went for those Dragon Knight capture plays. Like, they were playing really well around that.
They had one Dragon Knight where they lost just towards the end. I think it was Thrall that falls as we see Diablo go in. If that doesn't happen, if that kill isn't... And then we see, I think it was Sign dancing around on the DK the entire time, because he definitely knows...
That was Dami,
yeah. I can't do anything here. Like, we can't go in with the Dragon Knight. But if that kill doesn't happen against Thrall, all of a sudden you're in a spot where you can say, this is at least keep for us.
Speaking of dancing, I'm sure you will all be dancing for joy as the draft is ready. We are heading in to map number 2. Thank you. It is going to be that Cursed Hollow and Tempest with the first pick and first ban.
Yeah, there's the Abathur ban again. I was going to say, I wonder if in Korea versus Korea matches we'll see this Abathur ban come out. It leads me to think that Korea is playing the Abathur, at least on Cursed Hollow and Towers of Doom, where we've seen them ban it before. Obviously a very good map for Abathur, a lot of control, you know, soaking during those objectives, having the power of the global. Very hard to deal with if you're not practicing against it, especially.
The counter is the Genji ban. I don't think we really need to talk about that one. It's Genji. And speaking of heroes, we don't need to break down why they are banned. Fantastic heroes, great kill potential. The Maiev is removed.
If the Western Clash has shown anything, that the Maiev is absolutely terrifying in capable hands, and that's exactly what we're seeing here. Hammer also being banned out, very dominant at the Western Clash as well. We've seen a lot of those bans and picks at the Eastern Clash, you know, too. With the first game already in the bag, I mean, for Tempest, there's definitely a lot of pressure on them now, that they just lost on one of their favorite maps, going into the early Decade Kane, trying to already take that away from Everyday. Super high priority here for the support.
Very sensible, to be fair, but that still gives Meriday many options. And we're going to see that Dahaka. We thought we might see it in game number 1 this time, though. Taken in game number 2, and this is a much larger map, so rotations could be a lot more important. So very cool to see that coming out here for BlossoM.
It just feels that Hankono and the playstyle that he has, Diablo, is at this point basically made for him in those games. I mean, he can go really deep with the hero and he can keep himself alive, and that's something that allowed them to get multiple kills in the previous game. Now having also the global aspect to make sure that they are having a macro argument in the late game is actually incredibly strong for them, so I really like the opening of the draft from their perspective.
Yeah, I think Honkono looked very solid on the Diablo for most of the first game. As we said, a couple of times getting picked off, but it was the draft that Tempest had that led to that, not necessarily his own, you know, bad play. Yeah, I did like the Zeratul ban here. I was wondering if the early Diablo ban was going to trigger this Zeratul, because maybe it's kind of shaken Tempest up a bit, having that Zeratul Diablo in the last game. When it did look good, it looked good, especially, you know, that top lane 4 we talk about specifically.
So strangely enough, Phoenix is let through with a Diablo on the other side already. This could be very concerning. Blaze and Deckard, two heroes who could also have synergized very well with it, taken away. And this is going to make a lot of people at home very happy. Meriday on a Karazim.
And Liming taken. So the one argument, of course, against the Phoenix and Diablo comp that you already have in the draft on the other side is Bunker. So you can dodge out a lot of the damage there. We have Karazim now also taken, and I don't know, it feels to me a little bit that they're a bit worried about these one-shot killer combos that we saw against Diablo with the 7-sided in the last game too.
Yeah, I think the other reason we see this Liming is, to me, it's looking like BlossoM actually very heavily targeting Sign. Again, we see the early tank pick. Again, we see the Garrosh ban. We know he likes to play a Dubrak. Picking that Liming locks that pick out. The Disintegrate is very good against the Cocoon. Ooh.
Okay.
Okay, so I expected the first one of these of the tournament to be from the 1, but it's going to be from BlossoM because the 1 are out. That is fantastic here. Let's look at the ways to deal with that. For starters, Bunker always deals with everything, but there's no blinds. There's some good slows and roots from Deca, but he's very vulnerable to potential engages. And yeah, that is going to be interesting. Oh, that's unusual. For those who did not just see, Honkono was playing Illidan?
And Gondar is now in Diablo.
Curious. Gondar did make his name originally as a tank main. I'm sure he has the experience playing Diablo. I'm sure he's confident playing it, but it's very interesting to see Honkono on the Illidan, which I would consider, on this map at least, a Schwimpy special. Fnatic very, very heavily running Illidan originally in some of their previous comps. They love to play the Illidan on this map. Lots of camp control, lots of early game snowball.
They have... sorry, they have so much burst potential with that hunt. If they go for it, they have a global here. They have 2 potential globals. They have Li Ming, they have Diablo, they have Karazim. They have so much blow up for that Decade.
And the thing is, we have ETC on the other side. That's something that I still find incredibly interesting considering what you're up against. You have a Dehaka, you have Diablo, you have... I mean, talk to me a little bit about ETC. It just feels that at the Western Clash and even in the regular season, the biggest problem that ETC had is that you can blow him up so quickly. And that's one of the main reasons that he fell out. And now we're having Muradin available and they don't go for it, but pick ETC against this setup. Feels like a huge risk to me.
Yeah, I think the HGC pick is very strange, actually. I think ideally they were looking for that Anubarak. I think the Li Ming pick of the draft is very smart for that reason. The disintegrate pressure means that you don't want to go for that cocoon. You don't want the bug, basically. So I think it was quite smart from BlossoM to pick Li Ming in that slot for that, if they were going for that reason specifically, to scare Sign off of that Anubarak and put him on this ETC. I do agree. I think I would have liked the Muradin a bit more. The ETC is a bit strange, especially because it doesn't super fit with their style. It's not like they have the Sergeant Hammer or anything, you know? But it worked out against the Illidan, I would say, kind of weirdly. But I mean, it's clear that Hong Kono, apparently, is not scared to play against that ETC because there was an instant lock on that Illidan.
The Illidan pick was also interesting. I mean, the first thing I thought, okay, what are we going to see in terms of heroics? Because normally your go-to is the Hunt, but you already have the Haka on the other side. Do you need the second global? But if you want to go into Metamorphosis, you normally have a very specific reason what you want to dodge. When you're going up against the Haka, it's the isolation you're trying to dodge. So in this case, I feel you can definitely play around the Hunt. Do you think we're going to see a heavy macro game from them?
Yeah, definitely. The early game is going to be so macro-focused for BlossoM. They need to snowball with this Illidan. It's a very risky pick, I think, actually. But the style and the attitude they have coming into this tournament and this series, I think it fits them very well.
And that Hun could be a fantastic setup. Like we said, they have Hanzo and Deckard Cain on the other side, and even ETC is not the tankiest tank. He is relatively okay to blow up, as we saw yesterday. So potentially that double blow up, maybe even double global, turning a 1 versus 1 lane suddenly into a 3 versus 1 at the drop of a hat at level 10, can really turn the games on their head.
Now, just from a draft perspective, let's theorize here a little bit. Let's say they wanted to play Illidan from the get-go, which we can assume how quickly they locked that in. That's a draft that they, well, with what we've seen picked by Tempest here, do you think they should have made an adjustment instead of Illidan just going for a more traditional style, move Hong Kono back onto the tank and just play a more traditional draft instead of going for something they had prepared here? Because it feels like with especially ETC at the front that we're seeing right now, with also Hanzo in the back, you could have exploited that a little bit by just adapting even more with another range damage dealer here.
I know what you're saying. I think if the fact that BlossoM did pick this does speak to their confidence with this strategy. I think we can assume they practice this a lot. I think we can assume they're going to try and play that heavy rotation style with Illidan, get an early objective lead, and I think we're going to see Hunt 7-sided come out, and they're going to be looking for these Diablo charge Hunt 7-sided picks with the Li Ming, and just try and completely control the game through the global style, even with the Dahaka as well.
I'm excited. BlossoM jumping up a whole 20%, 45 to 55% in that vote from the chat, but we are ready to head into the game, ladies and gentlemen. Can BlossoM close it out against Tempest? Let's find out as we head into game number 2. Oh, it's best of 5. Can they get an advantage in the best of 5? Let's find out in game number 2.
Can BlossoM spank Tempest hard enough that Tempest gives up and forfeits?
Oh dear.
It's going to be a wild one, not going to lie here. I'm happy for this one. BlossoM in the lead with a 1-0 here already, starting towards the left side of the map, and this is going to be a good one. We have Modern on Li Ming, we have Wiz on the Haka, Meride on Karazim, Gonda on Diablo with a swap onto the tank, and Hong Kono on Illidan.
And on the right-hand side, it is Tempest with lockdown on Hanzo, good on Reyna, Dummy on Blaze, Sign on ETC, and Hyde is bringing out the Deckard Cain.
And the audience is already filling up here as well. Yesterday, actually, they had to turn people away from the Heroes area. There were apparently several that were trying to get in, but it was already filled to capacity. And because of fire restrictions, there's only a certain amount of seats that you can actually provide here. But yeah, pretty cool to see how engaged the Korean fans are here.
They are excited. It is Korea versus Korea once again, and they are behind this game. As we see the start of the game, quick split up by Tempest, not wanting to take the mid fight early. And BlossoM, they went for the mid, not so much fight, but just the mid group up, and they were able to take down that minion wave very quickly, as we are seeing. Is that Unending Hatred? Is that what that talent's called?
That's Unending Hatred, yes. I double checked as well. I was just like, am I misreading that level 1? Like, that screen is a little bit small here, so let's double check that. Is that Battle Assault? It's like the same color coordination. I was like, no, he actually went for it. Unending Hatred coming in, so it's all about the auto attacks. Trying to complete the quest talent, his version of Season Marksman, basically.
Exactly. It could be pretty crazy if he's able to stack that up well. And that can potentially lead into a Metamorphosis build. That's going to keep you in the fights longer to gain more long-term value as opposed to Battered, which can be a great follow-up to the Hunt.
Yeah, I mean, it's a wild game here already, and I'm loving it. There's so much macro game that we have through Illidan and the cam control that he provides. The Haka with the global. And of course, that Li Ming follow-up on any kind of stuns, especially the 7-sided combo that we had mentioned a bit earlier by Snitch is another big one here.
We're not going to be seeing any kind of block party shenanigans coming out of the ETC. Sticking with those groupies, there's a fair amount of AoE damage coming from Diablo and Li Ming, so it makes a lot of sense to be seeing that coming out. The double group up here, Wiz and Honkono both showing, and they're going to try and push up with this Merc camp.
Also, a very, very early night camp that's currently taken by both of the teams. So we have BlossoM focusing on theirs, but Tempest is already busy with the night camp of their own. And it's all about the timing here right now, trying to set that up properly so you get value out of it. But even Seashine is now up to the top lane here. BlossoM is really playing well around those mercenaries in game 2.
See even more coming out. It's Karazim actually taking that. That was taken earlier, but he's able to delay it. Same with Good on that Raider. Both teams wanting to try and time their push in the mid lane. First tribute. It's going to be spawning in what is we're now going to currently call the Li Ming lane because no one else is here.
And I actually just complimented BlossoM on the mercenary play, mostly because they just strengthened the push on the Siege Giants with a few heroes there. But Tempest is doing an even better job because they rotated topside to take it down, and they delayed their own cap so that they now take down the Knights in the middle and have their own camp just now pushing through. That creates the perfect pressure onto the mid lane. So from Tempest's perspective, that was very, very well done to hold that camp back for a few more seconds.
Long term, that's definitely going to work out. Keeping Dahaka in that mid lane as well. Zeratul is not coming down. He does not have the hunt yet. That is a big show that they are not going to commit to this tribute. To try and delay this as much as possible. Double smoke, clean out the Bruiser camp, and just play the slow game until level 10.
Yeah, Illidan against Blaze now at the top lane, still holding on solo, but Hyde down here is interrupted. Mariday jumping in, doing a great job. This is all about buying a little bit of time, which also helps Dehaka in the mid lane to take care of the night camp. But Reyna has split towards that, so he's still trying to pressure him, and Dehaka is definitely eating a few shots.
I mean, they forced this into a 3v3, so now BlossoM, they're not so much delaying, they actually have a chance to take this. As Karazim is going to spot Reyna rotating in here. And as we're going to see that 3v3 once again turn into a 4 versus 3 as Dahaka continues to hold him mid. They go for lockdown, but there's enough walls here that he's not going to have too much trouble. Actually, he moves away from the wall. He might be in trouble. Good face spell for the turnaround.
Lockdown, you beast! Calamity comes online, and that's the moment where Li Ming thinks, all right, boys, I'm going to get a bit of extra damage in. Blinks in deep to put the pressure onto Lockdown, and he turns around and just hits the arrow to the face. Well done here. That was a great kill by Lockdown. Well done.
A brilliant snipe, and with that, we already saw the rotation from Dahaka to join this. It's Meriday. Still trying to delay. He's putting on the pressure, but it looks like they're finally going to give this up. The XP lead still barely in favor of BlossoM, thanks to that extra soaking they did, but that kill at first tribute goes over to Tempest.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry to say, but Modern just got schooled by Lockdown here. That was quite something. Once Calamity comes online, you're really looking, of course, for the Calamity kill. The problem was that Hanzo just kept outside the range of CC, so there was no 100% move. And then at this point, Modern just thought, well, I can just blink in, teleport in, use Calamity, get a bit of extra damage on, and I'm going to be fine. But Lockdown just turned around, hits a few auto attacks, and then confirms it with a scatter arrow. Really well done by him. It was a great kill by Tempest, and he leads to that first tribute that they now have. But we are pre-level 10 still, and let's not forget that Illidan is also still in the stacking process. He's currently sitting at 15 stacks, so still a few short of completing the quest.
We have already seen the second tribute coming online. Both teams just short of that level 9, so depending on how long this is delayed for, Pens could be online in this fight as Meriday once again tries to be a little bit of a pain. Drops the Earth Ally, just tanks through it, but Lockdown forces him to back up.
And that already drops the support down to basically no health. So again, the position for Tempest is fantastic. Yeah, nice job against Modern. And Li Ming again falls here. Modern has to be careful with this. He exposes himself too much, and we talked about the weaknesses of ETC, but that hero also has a couple of strengths, and Sign is just playing perfectly to them.
Sign just absolutely shutting down the Li Ming there with that stun. And this is the joy of ETC. You have such a quick move, a quick turnaround opportunity. That's good. It's going to duel Wiz a little bit in the spot lane. Fountain is taken out by Wiz here. Fantastic job as level 10 comes online. And there is the Hunt and APOC coming in.
Yeah, Hunt, APOC being the targets here. The interesting part is that BlossoM, despite the fact that they gave up the 2 tributes, is still in a slight experience lead. So through their globals, they were able to trade here a bit. That's an advantage for them. They need to fight for the next free throw. That's going to be crucial. So Tempest is now in a position where they have also pseudo-global through stage dive that can at least mirror some of the movements that we're seeing from Illidan and Dehaka on the map. But that team fight, the next one, is going to be very telling of how this game is going to go. The combos that come out with Hunt, Isolation, 7-sided coming through are going to be very important for BlossoM. And if Tempest takes this, if they win a team fight here at the top, they can theoretically go for boss and also get the curse right afterwards. So this is very, very scary for BlossoM.
Dragon Arrow is dodged. Nice dodge by Honkono as they move in. Gondar just able to dodge the Decade Root, but here comes the stage dive.
Stay a while and listen. Here comes the setup. Honkono trying to go in again. Modern moves out, this time still with enough HP to be a danger to Tempest. And those missiles are coming in.
Trade back and forth between these teams. Merryday is trying to channel Modern, trying to delay, but it's Blaze with the denial. Good job, Dami. As right now, Tempest have a great split on BlossoM as BlossoM are trying to find the movement point. There's Hunt, Apex, it does not land Bunker immediately, and Diablo is burned.
Gondar has absolutely no chance. The drag against high, but it's just simply not enough. Once again, Honkono needs to move back here. We see Modern still shelling away and trying to interrupt it for as long as he can. But as you said it, tribute number 3, that's going to be the curse. And at this point, the world is your oyster. Tempest can just run across Cursed Hollow now. BlossoM at least has Diablo back because he was on 100 souls. But this is really tricky for them.
Honkono's out of there. He's going to soak elsewhere in bot lane, getting the XP there as the rest of Tempest just push every other lane. They're going to try this boss as well. If they can get this extra push, if they get that fountain maybe, that'll be an absurd double play.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we talked about earlier. You get the tribute, you go for boss. In an ideal world, if you would have killed, let's say, 2 heroes here, and only Diablo, he immediately came back. Yeah, you go for boss first, you time it a bit differently. But this is still strong. The big asset is that they have Hanzo. With Hanzo, they can get the boss so quickly that they still have a majority of the boss left, of the curse left. That was actually a nice and cute move here that we saw from Tempest, shooting the arrow towards the second boss, because BlossoM was still hiding in vision a lot. So if there is a boss play by BlossoM, that arrow hits 3 to 4.
But it's still going to be the double boss play from Tempest. Such a huge lead being gleamed here. Only about a quarter of a level XP-wise, but it's all about that map control. If BlossoM can save this 4, it might be at least a little bit of something, but this bottom fort is absolutely going down.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about an experience lead, but of course that's now going to be emphasized through the fort that falls at the bot lane. That snowballs it a little bit farther forward. But yeah, it's that lane control and the map control that we're seeing. And let's not forget, that boss is still on full health, basically. So they are going to drop the wall at the keep with this if they play their cards right.
They're going to try. Blaze already sieging in. Raider with that Raider's Raider, pressuring the buildings as well.
This is the moment you want Hyperion.
Yeah, that would be lovely right now, but they don't have it. They going for that poke instead. Gondar caught in the boss route, actually. Here's the Hunt coming in onto Hunt, so Sailor Listen does not land.
Fantastic.
And that is a great blow-up.
Yeah, they go for Hanzo, they get the kill, and Honkono isn't done. He's just
Pretty
keeping
deep.
in there.
He's gone.
No, he's done.
His team had to back up. The boss zoning too good. Stay a while and listen with the APOC for the attempted turnaround, but it's going to be the leaving the falls. Merryday goes down as well, and Wiz, there's nowhere to go.
Oh my god, the keep is down, and there's 4 heroes already dead, and they're just walking towards the core. They're saying, boys, the game's over right now. 2 levels ahead, and Tempest is going for it. Gondar is moving in on his Diablo. He's trying to go for a hide, but Sign is already zoning him out, and the core is falling. The shields are gone, but we have the heroes slowly merging here. Honkono's back to business, but is that going to be enough?
Arrow does land. That's a pretty huge. Hyde is dropping low. He's trying to keep the team alive. Hyde goes down. Modern's here. He's getting the resets. They're being forced back.
They can't do it. They can't get the core.
Oh my god, the triple dash.
And at this point, he's just jumping in again. They're going for Dami. Look at Sign. He has stage dive. It's up. He's trying to jump away, but the 7-side is right there. Perfect play by Gondar.
Get wrecked. Oh, okay. Delayed get wrecked as they take him down. Huge prediction from Wiz. The core down to 56%, but BlossoM are still in it.
that makes it, I mean, there's so much that's happening here right now. They try to go for the core, they couldn't. It was a good defense again. But if that arrow, by the way, connects, this is just
that's
lights
over.
out. Exactly. So we saw a couple of Hanzo arrows that didn't connect, one towards the boss and the one towards the end. I like both of them a lot.
Yeah.
They didn't get value, but they were the right calls in that situation. Still, with the 50% on the core, we are now in a situation where the bottom boss is becoming absolutely pivotal for BlossoM. They have to keep the control over that once it respawns, because once it's taken again by Tempest, they can end the game here. And even vision is something that's now absolutely crucial, because Tempest has a chance to simply go for a backdoor depending on the situation.
Tribute is taken by BlossoM, finally starting their direct way towards their first curse, grabbing mercenaries, cleaning out bot lane most importantly, because catapults will accumulate here, and finally they have cleansing touch on the board.
It's really an interesting situation that we have now. Blades of Azenov taken on 16 by Illidan and the Nimble Defender. That's what we're currently seeing on level 13. So he is starting to become really a bit of a menace, scaling into that late game. And especially when you're now alone on the map, BlossoM has an easy chance to get kills with the Hunt, with 7-sided follow-ups, with even just Wiz making the play on Dehaka. So this is really a situation where Tempest have to basically try and 5-man it. You want to split ETC, but even if you split ETC, you need to be very, very careful where you are, because if you don't pay attention, there can be an insta-kill against you.
It can, and the ETC is going to split off here, but he knows that there is an objective available. Honkono needs to leave right where he is, uses that Unbound to get over that wall, but this is another tribute. This is not a curse.
Yeah.
For either team, so this is going to be a little bit more of a calm fight. Both these teams will be willing to give it up if they have to.
BlossoM is back in XP, but there we go. Hunt comes in. ETC with a stage dive, and this one is perfect. The sleep setup. Kerosene goes down immediately, and Honkono doesn't have a chance. Illidan is getting wrecked in this fight, and Wiz is trying to pop his essence. Might even get away here, but that was such a great start into this fight.
Wiz has already used his Rush Stalker to get here in the first place, thinking they could turn this into a 5v4 quicker than ETC could arrive.
Boss at the bot lane.
A complete shutdown by Hyde completely ruined that.
They get the boss at the top, but the boss at the bot lane is going to spawn in just a few seconds, so they want to go for a double boss play once again. The thing is, BlossoM can't defend the top lane boss. If the bottom lane boss is taken, this game is gonna end. So BlossoM now, with the heroes that are just respawning, needs to defend the bot lane, which means the top lane boss has full reign and can go in without anyone defending against it.
Hanzo takes down these bosses so fast. Dehaka up in 7 seconds. He will likely have Brush Stalker. Gondar sees Sign. It's going to be 100% down to Sign to hold this right now. The boss already takes down the top 4. You can see how quickly Hanzo takes these down.
Tempest doesn't even have to commit. They can play this slow, and look at this. They're playing it slow. They're not forcing it, because the boss at the top lane is getting value. Play it slow, don't force it, and you're fine.
Dehaka's going. He has global once again, so he's going to be able to join his team. The boss is leashed. BlossoM with a first minor victory here. Next tribute online, 1-1. Still not a curse for either team. As once again, that pressure, that Hanzo Clearsbeard forces BlossoM to react here. Finally, Illidan has the Hunt back as Diablo dives deep. Hunt onto lockdown. Another huge sleep coming in from the Decade.
7-sided strike as the follow-up here. Merriday's in a bit of trouble though, but he's not alone. Dehaka the first one to fall. Merriday on the run, but it's the Illidan who falls next. Hanzo goes down. It's a bloodbath. A 3-for-1 trade as Tempest.
Teammates down.
4-for-1. They're getting everyone down here. They don't even have to go for the boss anymore. They can simply go for core. Against the double global, Tempest still with the plays. Fantastic performance here by them in game number 2.
Gondar's doing everything he can to delay this 1 versus 3, soon to be 4 as they move in. The shield is up, but it won't be for long. That is going to be GG. And we are heading to a 1-1 in this best of 5. Tempest, fantastic closeout.
Really well done here. Core goes down, and that is the tie in the series. Extremely well played by Tempest against the double global. They controlled the macro game. Only ETC with the stage.